How's it going, you sexy beast? Welcome back to the world of Tamriel. Today we're scouring the undergrounds of the Fungal Grotto, a level 12 to 15 dungeon located in the Stonefalls. Though the Stonefalls are the beginning zone for the Ebonheart Pact faction, you can easily travel to the Fungal Grotto by visiting a wayshrine or finding its dungeon icon on the world map. This guide will cover everything you'll need to know in order to be successful in the Fungal Grotto dungeon. Keep in mind, this is my first dungeon guide for the Elder Scrolls Online, and any numbers discussed are a rough estimation. We don't have any solid information on damage values, spell names, or abilities yet, so this is entirely from observation and experimentation. With having said that, let's jump feet first into the Fungal Grotto. The Fungal Grotto was once held by the ancient Chimer of days old, but have since been abandoned. Repurposed by goblins, the Fungal Grotto now serves as a home for the goblin warchief Ozazai and his clan, as they fight the endless war of attrition with the Kra'gh, a crustacean race that resides within the deep reaches of the Fungal Grotto itself. Our task is to assist Viola Theron and her servants of the Web Spinner to find the Spinner's Shrine, which is long forgotten with the days of the Chimer.
Dunmer, Goblin, or Kra'gh were all caught in the strands of the spider's web.
The enemies you'll encounter within this dungeon include plenty of goblins, Kra'gh, Durzogs, and mud crabs. With the right group composition, these can be easily dealt with. My group in particular consisted of a sorcerer with a restoration staff as our healer, a dual-wielding Templar and bow-wielding Nightblade for damage, and myself being the tank as a sword and shield Dragon Knight. Trash mobs come spread out and rather hefty in numbers. It's recommended to have the damage dealers of your group take out ranged enemies or casters and let the tank focus on handling the melee units. Crowd control abilities are very potent for the trash mobs, especially the goblins, as they are so plenty in number. After feeding a few of the first groups of goblins and their Durzog pets, you'll be met face to face with Tazcad, the Packmaster. This menacing goblin comes loaded up with 3,060 health and 2 trained Durzog pets. Beyond his pets stand 2 Murkwater hunters, which the group should focus down first. This fight is rather simple and doesn't prove to be much of a challenge for groups. As the ranged goblins are taken out, shift focus to Tazcad's Durzog companions. After the pets are dealt with, the fight is rather straightforward. Tazcad himself only has one ability, which I'm calling Mud Fling, and is telegraphed once he begins to cast it. Since this ability is telegraphed, it can be interrupted by holding right mouse button and clicking the left mouse button. If the Mud Fling ability is successful and lands on its target, the target will suffer roughly 30 magic damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Once he is defeated, collect your loot and move deeper into the caverns. 2 big pulls later, you'll arrive in the Goblin Warchief Ozazai's chambers. In here, you'll have to contend with plenty of hunters, butchers, menders, and Durzog. The menders and hunters should be the priority for the damage dealers of your group, as the tank should grab the focus of the butchers and Durzog. Once the entire room is clear, you can engage Warchief Ozazai, who has 8,415 health. Once pulled, he and his 2 war guards will make their way down from their raised platform and meet the party in combat. As with any type of additional enemies in the fray, focus the war guards first while the tank contends with the war chief. This boss fight is much more intensive than the previous, as Ozazai comes loaded up with quite a few spells. His first ability, which is the most apparent, is his focusing beam. Ozazai targets a player of the group with a focusing rod, causing a massive red beam to connect him and his target. After a short delay, the beam will explode on the targeted player, which will deal about 250 damage in a 5-meter radius from the player. To prevent the damage from getting out of hand, have the targeted player move out of the group or stay spread out during the encounter. Ozazai's second ability, which I'll call Blood Boil, pushes back any players within his melee range and deals roughly 175 magic damage. This spell is not telegraphed in any way and will just have to be healed through. Only recommended course of action would be to have your entire group spread out or out of melee range for the entire fight. His last ability is his overhead swing, which is telegraphed quite clearly. If the attack is not blocked properly by the tank, they will be hit for 200 physical damage and knocked back 10 meters. Once the warchief has been dealt with, place his head on a pike and rally with the goblins, as they have become your new allies. Once you have broken through the Dregg's defenses with your goblin allies, you'll meet face to face with the Bloodbirther. This massive enemy comes with 2 other Dreg which can be dealt with relative ease. Bloodbirther herself has 2 abilities as they synergize quite well with one another. Her first ability is Lightning Grasp, which she will target a random party member that's not her current target, and pull them toward Bloodbirther, dealing 150 magical damage. Her second ability is Charged Pincers, which will telegraph a frontal cone of damage. This spell cannot be interrupted, but is very visual when it's being cast. Bloodbirther's 2 Dreg minions can cast Charged Pincers as well, which can become very devastating if a player is caught in all 3 cones at once. The beginning pull is the toughest, as Bloodbirther will cast Lightning Grasp immediately, pulling in 1 party member into all 3 casts of Charged Pincers. Once the fight is under control and the 2 Dreg adds are eliminated, Bloodbirther is rather easy to defeat. A few Dreg stand in the way of the next boss, as well as some swarms of mud crabs. Clatterclaw would be the reason for that, as he is a massive mud crab, more than likely controlling the crabs within the caverns. This fight is extremely straightforward to the point that it's the most boring fight in the dungeon. The toughest part of this boss is the pull, solely due to the fact he's surrounded by very small mud crabs that each deal very little damage. Once you've slain the mud crabs, kill the boss. Occasionally he'll summon more mud crabs, but they have very little health and cause no threat to the group. Collect your loot and move on. The entire dungeon has culminated to this final boss, Krahgg, the Dreg King. Once you've reached the end of the Fungal Grotto, Krahgg will burst through the cavern walls, ready to tear you wide open. Krahgg comes loaded up with plenty of spells to do so too. His first ability is Pincer Buffet, which will hit his target in quick succession, followed up by a telegraphed heavy attack. If the heavy attack is not blocked properly, it will deal 275 physical damage to the target and knock them back. His second ability is Lightning Clash, which he will cast an expanding red circle to telegraph the area, and once the radius has reached its maximum, it will deal 500 magical damage to all players caught in the area. Reveal Ally is his final ability, which will be cast at every 30% of his health lost. For my party, it was cast at 62% and finally 32%. This ability causes the Dreg King to hastily run over to a dirt mound and dig, which will spawn a swarm of 5 to 7 mud crabs. These mud crabs are just like the previous ones you've slain and offer no real threat to the party. They can easily be dispatched by area of effect abilities. Keep avoiding his Lightning Clash, blocking his Pincer Buffet, and controlling mud crabs until the Dreg King is defeated. After you've celebrated your success with your party, make your way up to Vila Theron as she awaits your arrival. Upon speaking with her, we learn that the Dreg have been controlling her group's sacred shrine. She doesn't quite cue us in on what exactly the shrine entails, but it's probably better not to ask. Take your sweet loot, that much deserved skill point, and head on home. You've just completed the Fungal Grotto dungeon.
This for your work. Now you will leave, immediately. The secret of the Spinner's Shrine are not for outsiders.
Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big ass thumbs up. Also, please let me know of any ways that I can improve this series, as I'm really enjoying the Elder Scrolls Online and would love to continue producing helpful videos and content regarding it. If you didn't like this video or felt that there's something I left out or need to be more thorough about, please dislike the video and let me know. If you'd like to see more videos like these in the future, then go ahead and subscribe.